everyone, and welcome to the latest vlog from bloodyflix.co.uk. I'm Paul Downey. Today going to be looking at the latest film on the Hellraiser series, Hellraiser Judgment. It's a bit of a tricky one because I think people were quite excited when they saw the look of the new Pinhead, played by Paul T. Taylor. Obviously Doug Bradley doesn't look like he's involved in the series anymore, so this actor has taken on the role. And for the most part, he is actually probably one of the better parts of this film. It is an improvement on some of the other films that have been part of the series recently. I think probably the best one of recent memory would probably be Hellworld, and to be fair, that wasn't really much to write home about. Probably heightened by the presence of someone like Lance Henriksen, a good kind of safe B-movie actor, with all due respect. But this one, it's a little bit different. It's more of a police procedural than a full-on kind of twisted adventure into the macabre that you maybe might have been used to with some of the other Hellraiser films. It's a little bit confusing. I think the plot line, it's almost like two strands of a story. On one half, you kind of have the police procedural element, and on the other part, you have the more the Cenobites and Pinhead and that sort of motif, and they don't really gel that well together. The ending does try to bring a bit more of that kind of continuity, but it does fall short a little bit. As I said, Paul T. Taylor as the main Cenobite Pinhead does a decent job. He's got quite a commanding voice, which does help. He's certainly a marked improvement on the last Pinhead, who I can't really even recall the name of, and the film, to be fair, was quite atrocious as it was. It doesn't do enough to re-energize the franchise. That's the problem here, is it makes like a really low budget affair. It's kind of marketed itself on the fact that Heather Langenkamp has got a small role in it, and it is a small role. She's probably on screen for maybe a minute, 100 seconds maybe tops, and it's a fairly minor role that doesn't really kind of play any sort of part in the major kind of overarching plot of the film. So to kind of market it on the fact that you've obviously got a quite notorious scream queen in a very minor role was a little bit concerning. But yeah, it's quite. I don't really know where Hellraiser the series is going to go from here. Whether this film was just an attempt by the studio just to keep the rights to the series, like a bit like what New Line did a few years ago with Jason X, in terms of they used that film to basically keep hold of the rights to the franchise from saving it slipping back into Paramount's hands. So they basically did a film to use as the stopgap between Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason, and then obviously going forward when they did the remake a few years later, joint with Paramount. But yeah, it's a little bit of a strange one, this one, because it ends in such a way that there isn't really a continuing story. They have kind of lent on probably some of the text from the Scarlet Gospels, which was one of Clive Barker's recent entries in terms of the franchise itself in more of a novelization format. But it's one of them franchises that it's probably one of the only ones where you could probably say it could actually do with a reboot, a full reboot, and let's just kind of forget that even more than half of these films happen, because let's face it, there's been Deader, there's been Hell on Earth, there's been Hellseeker, there's been Hellworld, and then this one as well. They're throwaway. They aren't good films. They don't really add much to the kind of the mythos. They try to flesh out Pinhead in the main, a character that didn't really need fleshing out. It was kind of a character that kind of came in when needs be. I think in the original film, that character only spent probably I think it was less than 10 minutes on screen of a 90-minute film, and that kind of shows that basically that sort of character is not the forefront of the plot, where you need to have interesting characters to fill that void, and Hellraiser Judgment doesn't really have them. So a valiant attempt, but doesn't quite hit the mark.